What's up, guys? You are in the 5280 zone. Warning, high altitude here. You're with Tokyo Five Star and Vic Locke. All right. Cruz G will be joining us a little bit later. I'm Joe Pro, as always, your host. And this week has been an interesting week in sports. We've had a bunch of different things, a little bit all over the place, and some exciting things and some fun things to go out and check out, and just in the Colorado sports world of just seeing what is going on. I apologize. We started a little bit late this evening. We've been having some tough technical difficulties with some of our equipment. So, that happens from time to time, but we didn't try to start too late, and I'm glad that there's a couple of you out there joining us this evening, and hopefully we'll get some more viewers as we go along. So please remember to share, like, and subscribe to the Rocky Mountain Sports Report. We can be found there with the 5280 zone. And we want to go ahead and shout out to our sponsors right now: Coda Bear Creations, the 5280 zone, and Rocky Mountain Sports Report. Would like to thank our sponsor. Coda Bear Creations creates all of the Rocky Mountain Sports Report merchandise. Coda Bear Creations also takes personal orders for hats, t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies, keychains, cups, mugs, and much more. Head over to their Facebook page and check out all the awesome designs and products that they have. If you're interested in any of our merchandise there, reach out to Matt Stafaro for more information on that. He's the one that takes care of all the orders. And if you can't find him on Facebook, let me know. I'll get you in touch with him. The other thing is we have another sponsor this evening. And that is, I am sorry, 1 second, Stoked D Barbecue. All right. They are your barbecue superstore out in Loveland, Colorado, and they are your barbecue experts since 2020. Okay. They're located over on McWhitney Avenue or Boulevard in Loveland, Colorado. So 5644 McWhinney Boulevard. They are out there. They're sponsoring our show, and they are sponsoring the other shows for the Rocky Mountain Sports Report. And they also have some great rubs, seasonings, and all the grilling and barbecuing equipment that you may need. So make sure that you check them out over in Loveland when you get the chance. Again, big thank you to both of our sponsors for this evening, Coda Bear Creations and Stoked D Barbecue, or Stoked D Fire. I apologize. We'll go ahead and go around the mountain here. Matt, what were the things that took your interest this week in the sports world that you'd like to talk about? We'll get through it. We kind of have a show prepared and everything, but I want to hear what your take was. What was the most exciting thing that you saw this week?
This week, the most exciting thing I did see this week, I want to say that it was just, I want to say in the sports world in general, I saw a lot of Juneteenth stuff, and it just started to, excite me. I know we have that segment later on, but it really had me in thoughts about what's, that's going to be happening here tomorrow. Just having to be able to understand the Black culture and what we actually went through. And obviously I had to learn that stuff myself too. A lot of people are like, oh, you're supposed to know this. No. Learning stuff while you're getting older just means that you're learning. You're a student. Everybody has to learn one way or another, and it's going to come out. So I really took an interest in that. And I was actually out in Cordova High School, it's where I coach, and just telling those kids about a little bit of the Juneteenth stuff. Our staff, has a bunch of HBCUs on there, and it's a big deal for us. And I'm glad that we were able to actually help with that and tell those kids about Juneteenth.
Great. Hey, we're all looking forward to it. President Joe Biden made it a federal holiday yesterday, and that's a really big deal, and it long overdue for the Black community and what is going on with them. So I think it was a great move on President Biden's part, and we're looking forward to celebrating and making sure that it is a day of remembrance and all of those that suffered during that blemish in our history. Yeah. So all right, thank you for that, appreciate it. Vic, what are you looking forward to? What were you looking forward to, or what did you see this past week that really caught your eye?
There's a lot of stuff going on. Primarily looking at baseball. The Rockies, we finished off that series with the Padres, and they took out the brooms and just sweep that up, which was great. They just started this past couple days series with the Brewers. Excited to see how the game's looking today, and a little bit of recap of yesterday's game for our viewers here shortly.
Okay.
But yeah, just overall, it's a lot of stuff going on. The Broncos football, the Nuggets got some stuff going on this offseason, so we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely liked what the Rockies have been doing this past week as well. Sweeping up the Padres, that's always a good thing. Divisional rivals, those types of games are going to be the things that definitely watch out for. So that, I know we're going to get into that as well. So that'll be something to talk about. For me this week, it was seeing players out there on the Broncos playing field and, getting into their field day and doing stuff like that and just having a good time, looking like they were kids again, that kind of stuff, having fun with it. I think that was kind of cool. A comment here from Matt Stefero, the vast head coaching turnover across the NBA. Yes, that was a big thing for me as well. Really surprised about Carlisle leaving Dallas after he had gotten an endorsement from Mark Cuban, and then seeing the NBA team the USA team being put together this week and seeing some of the big names that decided to put their name in the hat for that. So, you got Dame Lillard and you got a couple other players that are going out there. I'm excited. Dame, he does his thing night in, night out. So to see him go out there and play for USA basketball, I think that's going to be a real big thing. And, what about Jokic? Is he going to go out there and is he going to be playing for Serbia? Or is he going to take the summer off and try to rest and recuperate after that long season? Excited to hear about that over the next couple of weeks. I know Doncic was talking about playing for his home country as well. And so we'll see what kind of comes out of that. And over probably the next week or so as the trials are starting to heat up for the Olympics as they're coming up. A lot of Colorado athletes this past year that actually qualified for the Olympics. And I have those names here real quick, and I want to just give them a quick shout out since this is the 5280 zone, and we want to make sure that we, talk about all of our Colorado athletes, not just pro sports. All right, so the 2021 Olympic athletes from Colorado, we have climbing, we have Colin Duffy, he's from Broomfield, and we have Brooke Raboteau out of Boulder. We have cycling. We have Christopher Belvins, Maddie Godby, Christopher out of Durango, and Maddie out of Louisville. Modern pentathlon, Samantha Archerberg. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Out of Littleton, Armo El Gizeri, out of Colorado Springs. We got rowing. We got Kendall Chase out of Evergreen, Jessica Thowens out of Highlanders Ranch, shooting, Amber English out of Colorado Springs, Luke Kozinski out of Colorado Springs, Will Shaner out of Colorado Springs, triathlons, Summer Raporo out of Thornton, volleyball, Jordan Poulter out of Aurora, Haley Washington out of Colorado Springs. And, the sport that I'm looking most forward to this year, wrestling, we have Adeline Gray out of Denver and Giangelo Hancock out of Fountain, Colorado. So, a lot of big names, a lot of athletes coming out of Colorado for the 2021 Olympics and all different sports. So it's exciting to see the Colorado athletes go out there and compete, and hopefully we can bring back some more gold and keep those other countries off the podium, and have good friendly competition, but also go out there and dominate like we always do for the USA. Looking forward to that and those exciting things there. So, let's start getting into our show now. We're going to start off with Denver Nuggets wrap up. All right. What is going to be some of the biggest needs this offseason? Matt, what are you thinking?
Well, this is what I'm thinking right now. There are big question marks. Okay. Really on Michael Porter Jr. They're talking about his contract and extension. Aaron Gordon, what's his deal? I mean, is he going to be back? Is he going to, take another tour around Denver? And, Will Barton, obviously, alumni from my lovely Memphis. And, I just think those question marks need to be answered. And I think what we can ask ourselves is that, do we have a good basketball team? Do we have centerpieces that we can actually help and move around Jokic? Obviously, the guy is the MVP, 29.8 points a game, 11.6 rebounds a game. The guy is going to need some help. So what we can depend on is that I want to say the NBA draft and key free agents. But I want to get into the draft, though.
Okay.
I'm going to skip straight to the draft, man. I honestly believe that they have to identify the guard spot. The guard spot, they were obviously decimated, obviously with Jamal Murray, obviously with PJ Dozier. And, it hurt us very, very badly. Not saying Austin Rivers can't do it, man. But We're gonna need somebody. We're gonna need somebody with better tendons in their knees, and we're gonna need some guys that have better court vision. Not just guys that can just post up and shoot.
Okay,
but
let me stop you real quick, because I have a question follow up there with Austin Rivers. So, are we bringing him back next season? I know he was only signed through the end of this season. Are we going to bring him back to continue to bolster the backcourt there with?
We're missing the guy kind of like that when we traded Gary Harris away. I was kind of upset when Gary Harris did go because he just got through signing a contract, and they ended up shipping him off. But, I believe that we just need that extra guard, and I think Rivers needs to get re-signed just so we can have that extra security.
Okay. What do you think about Paul Millsap? Is he coming back next year, or is it going to be, time to let Paul go? I think that, I'm going to give you my take real quick, but I think that it's time to let him go. Millsap has been the veteran presence, but he doesn't have any fight in him. He doesn't seem like he's out there to like really push the pace and trying to make things happen down in the stretch. He had a few good games this season for sure, but overall, like he wasn't that veteran leader that we had, maybe even in the bubble. I mean, I don't know if it was because he was upset about not starting anymore, or what was his deal this year.
I don't know, man. A lot of things, like this coronavirus has messed up a lot of stuff. We're going through stuff. He's probably going through some stuff at home, and maybe it was just him being away from family. It could have been issues. We have no clue. Whatever Paul was going through, it could have been on the court. I pray for my brother, man. I don't want nothing malicious happen to him. I know that I love him. I know Denver Nation's gonna love him for sure. If we do let him go, we let him go with a happy heart, and we just say his prayers, and he'll leave. But he may just have to maybe hang it up. He's had a great tenure in the NBA. Has a great tenure.
I agree with that. Vic, what are you thinking?
I mean, I don't know if we're talking veterans, right? Like you said, he's had 10 years, and I mean, being in that bubble, that I'm sure it's hard enough, on family wise, but also being told that you're no longer the starter. I'm sure that kind of plays an effect where he's probably double guessing himself and just doesn't have that confidence or doesn't want to bring that fire. Because if you're being told, hey man, I'm gonna have you sit the bench and we'll see if we get you some play time, and your mindset was completely the opposite way, he might look at basically retiring, and I wouldn't be surprised if he went that route.
Yeah, I definitely think that. I mean, he could be a contributor on some other teams, maybe maybe a team like the Cleveland Cavaliers who were struggling kind of at that small forward position as well. But I think that he just doesn't have as much spark in him as he did before. So I think that's one of our biggest struggles this season is keeping the guards in there. Will Barton is on a player option contract, so this season he has to decide whether or not he wants to be back at the Nuggets. Not so much if the Nuggets want to keep him. I think the Nuggets definitely want to keep him. Michael Malone really had some good things to say about him near the end of the season, and so what I think our biggest need is this is a comment here from Matt Stefero, veteran leadership. That is the biggest key I think that we need to bringing in this offseason is the veteran leadership, because somebody that can sit there and be that floor general, just like Chris Paul, going back and forth across the court and letting them know, hey, these are your assignments. These are what you need to be doing. Because you got coach in the background for sure. Coach is going to tell you what you want. Is what you're going to hear, but who is directing you on the floor? Who's pushing the paint? And Joker has never been that guy. Joker is he is a leader by action. So he goes out there, he performs, he does what he needs to do, but the rest of the team is expected to go and play at his level, and that hasn't really happened. That didn't happen this season really. When Murray went down, Murray was kind of he has been that guy for us. He's been that leader, that vocal person on the floor, telling people what needs to be happening. And with him being out, you can see that they did struggle. It was nice to have Aaron Gordon come in and Gordon kind of pushed that pace at the beginning. He was very defensive, but we need somebody that can move the ball offensively and not. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing with Michael Porter Jr.'s development is him, one, becoming a leader on the team, and two, he needs to go drive the paint and not try to shoot threes every single game. When the shot's not there, but he move it in and push that pace. So, Matt, what were you thinking on that? I see you biting at the bit. So, I don't want to talk this whole time.
No, you're fine. I believe, like you said, Matt said, veteran leadership. There's a lot of things that happen on the court that, maybe a more malleable, not a more malleable younger guard does not see, like Chris Paul. Chris Paul has been there and done it, and they can take, like I said, last time we were on the show, they have to take what they've seen from Chris Paul and what he's done with Devin Booker. Everybody can't get that cohesiveness that they had in the backcourt. They've had pretty much the best backcourt, you ask me, in the postseason. So with Devin taking that, student role, which he is still young, and he's just taking it and just listening to Yoda. That's all he's doing. And I honestly believe that watching them do what they did with Chris Paul obviously being the older guy and Devin Booker just being taken under the wing is one thing we have to actually look at. And if we have a veteran guard that we can actually go out there and get, I'm not saying they're going to get the same result, but they will have some of the same tendencies. Yeah. And they will hit shots in the long run.
Yeah, no, I agree. We bringing somebody in that will be able to bolster the backcourt I think is our biggest need, and the veteran leadership. Another good comment here from Matt saying that the MPJ needs to improve his shot selection. Exactly. That's hitting the nail on the head there. We've said that time and time again that his shot selection has been real poor. he thinks he has a shot. Yeah, he might be open, but if he's not hitting those shots on a consistent basis, move your body around, get yourself there, get yourself into the paint, and I understand that he's had the back surgeries that maybe don't make him the same college player he was when he first started, but he's learned a lot. He definitely has improved from last year to this year, but it just he kind of buckled in the playoffs, and so with that, do we sign him to the max extension? I mean, the news reports are coming out the Nuggets are planning on signing him to the max extension, so it looks like that is what's going to happen. Now, do we sign him and trade him, or what are we doing there, Matt? What do you think? Is it just him sticking around?
I think he's going to stick around. Like you said, his shot selection, that has to come within him. And nobody can tell him he has to take a better shot. He has to understand, like, look at the tape, like, hey, shoot too many threes. He has to learn how to step up and hit that mid-range. Mid-range is why can't you go to mid-range? Everybody doesn't have to get the big three. You have to be smart and understand that, those shots can be taken. One more point isn't going to hurt you.
Yeah.
One more point is not going to hurt you. If you consistently make those mid-range shots and field goals, your shooting percentage will go up. Point being said, he's going to have to improve his shot selection. I agree 100% with Matt Shapiro.
Yeah. Another Facebook user comment here. We can't keep the same teams and I'm sorry. It is. Oh, there it goes. If we can't keep the same team and think things are working differently, we need to make changes. If it doesn't work out, 2022 will be a great year for free agents. That's a very true statement there. 2022 is going to have quite a few of those free agents that are going to be able to, opt out of quite a few NBA players are going to be able to opt out of their contract and move forward. And one of the ones from this offseason is Kawhi Leonard. I know Kawhi Leonard recently just went down with an injury, and I don't know the final outcome of that. I think they were afraid that he tore his ACL. Excuse me. So I haven't seen the I didn't get to see the final report this week. But yeah, if he went down with the ACL tear, that's not somebody that I don't think the Nuggets should be targeting there. But there's some other players that'll be coming out in 2022 that they slip my mind right now, so I wouldn't be able to speak to him for sure. But I think Dame Lillard is one of the ones that can opt out in 2022, and I'm not 100% sure, or the team can, one of the two. So it'll be interesting to see how they go ahead and press forward the rest of this offseason. We have some needs to address. I don't know if we'll be able to address any of that in the draft, but definitely in the offseason, just trying to find a leader to help bolster our bench and being able to have some people to play off the bench. Whether, if that's Austin Rivers starting or Facundo Campazzo starting, then great. One of those players, fine, start them. But we need to bring some other player, or, if Barton's not coming back, right? But we need somebody to sit there and we need to have the depth there on the bench to continue to play, because they're playing 30 minutes a game. That's that they're not made to do that. It's not they can't all be Joker. They can't all be the MVP going out there and playing 32 to 35 minutes a game. They need to have the rotations and moving along, because a lot of those players are older too, that we have coming off the bench right now. Millsap's looking at, I think he's 34 years old. Facundo was a 30-year-old rookie. So those are rookie in the NBA. Obviously, he played in the Euro leagues and everything like that. But those are some things that I think we need to think about. And Malone changing around, how he's switching his players in and out, because this last season he didn't. I don't think in the playoffs he manages the team well with the change outs. So that'll be something interesting to follow for sure. Thank you, David, for the update here. He's saying right now they're calling a knee sprain for Kawhi and his day-to-day for the playoffs. So hey, maybe it is somebody that we can attack. If if it isn't a serious knee injury, maybe Kawhi, maybe he's done in LA, tired of playing out there. I know that's his home. Southern California is his hometown, but maybe he's ready to move on and try to go out and win something. The Clippers aren't going to be. I don't think the Clippers are going to be progressing past this series, anyways, against the Jazz. The Jazz are real tough. Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, they've been playing some amazing ball this year, so I don't know if they're going to really be able to get past them. But we'll see. We'll see. We definitely shall see. All right, let's get into some baseball. So we're going to talk about the Rockies and the Padres and what they did this week. So there's a nice little picture of Coors Field. Man, I can't wait to get back out there and go enjoy a game. All right, so let's talk about it. Rockies, Padres. What Vic? What do you have for me?
Well, I mean, the Padres came out here. They try to. They gave it their all and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But it just wasn't enough. These Rockies came out strong, and during that series they swept them. They took out the brooms, and even with Fernando Tatis Jr. out here trying to get that save game home run this last game. They still ended up losing that game 8-7. They're very talented, but they there's no way that they could hold up. And then on Thursday, we just recently started a series with the Milwaukee Brewers over at Coors, which is, you already know that altitude is going to be affecting everybody. And the biggest question was, how are the pitchers going to adjust? And, Marquez making his sixth start came out and took on the Brewers, that 38-30 Brewers. For the Brewers, it was Brian Woodruff, who everybody was basically claiming was going to be overwhelming. He started out 1.5 ERA, I believe, and he just struggled. He wasn't doing too good out there, and Marquez, for 6 innings straight, was just shutting them down. In 2 words, he dominated. The mound, the game. Right off the start, man. First baseman, C.J. Cron, just stepped into that box and was like, all right, well, we got to get something started. It was first inning, bottom of the first inning. This guy comes out here, just takes a hack. And, you already know the altitude and how everything is in Coors. So that ball went sailing 401 feet right off the end of his bat and into the bleachers. So that brought us already 4-0. And then continuing that same inning, bottom of the first. Let's see, what was it? Hampson was like, okay, bet. You want to keep going? Let's do it. 381 off of his bat, left field, makes it 5-0. And after that, the game kind of diluted. It was just kind of a pitching game. It got down to bottom of the 6th. Tapia singles to right field, and Hampson came in off an error. And looking at these games, right? Even the game right now, a lot of these games are going to be close just based off the hitters that both sides have on the lineup. But these errors are what's going to be costing points. Because at the end of this game, we still won 7-3. It was top of the 7th when Milwaukee tried to do their last save game effort. Urias doubled right off of left, brought in Bradley Jr., scored. I think his name is Narvaez, and Reyes came in as well. So those are the 3 points that they got this last game. So 7-3, that's the first win of the series. And currently, we're in the bottom of the 6th. It's 4-2 right now. Milwaukee's leading. We got Sense is out on the mound. He's been doing pretty good. He's been throwing some pretty nasty sliders, and his fastball's been pretty accurate this evening. But going towards these later innings, we got to get something started.
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree. With the Rockies, hey Cruz, everybody, this is Cruz G. He is one of our co-hosts and producers. So we'll give him a quick shout out since he wanted to come in and join the fun. Like I said, Cruz has been having some technical difficulties and some other things going on this evening. So it took him a little bit to get in here, but I'm glad glad to have you, brother. Glad to see you on here. Looking forward to hearing some of your opinions on these things. All right, so we'll get back to the Rockies real quick. Victor, have you seen this clip? Or sorry, this picture right here. The Rockies are 23-14 at home, the second most wins in the National League, and are 5-27 on the road, worst in the Major League Baseball. I mean, I think that accounts for how difficult it is to play at Coors Field, for one, and how much when we don't play at home, it's difficult for us to get a win.
I mean, it's a lot easier at home because you're already used to the field and the climate, and you've got the home crowd backing you up. It's funny because you see these other teams when they come out and they're bringing their oxygen tanks and stuff like that. But looking at our record, it's like, man, maybe we should be collecting our oxygen for when our guys go play at these other fields.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. That's what I'm like. Okay, so if we're doing that bad, in other stadiums, what can we do to improve those things? And exactly, taking oxygen out of their lungs a little bit. Maybe they're just a little too oxygenated, I guess.
Right.
The Rockies are now 4-3. Thanks for the update. With an RBI single from Daza. So we're making a comeback. Hopefully we can go ahead and close that game out this evening and with a win against the Milwaukee Brewers. I know that we played them earlier this season, and I think we did not do so well. I'm trying to look for that card. I don't have it in front of me right now, but we'll go ahead and we'll check back on that next week with the Rockies. Hey, thanks for the update, Vic. I appreciate it. All right, so now let's get into let's see where we at on our show now. We're going to talk about the Broncos being named a finalist for the 2021 Sports Humanitarian Sports Team Award. So the Broncos have done some amazing things over the last couple of years, and being really involved with the community and showing that they care, that they actually care about the community. They want to go out there and do things with the community. There's a picture right there with George Patton, our new GM, Justin Simmons, Jerry Jeudy, and a couple of our other Broncos players out there doing some good things within the community. That was for the March for Peace. So Matt, what are you thinking on that? I know that getting out there and being part of the community, you for one are a high school football coach, and so I'm sure that you get out there with your students and your student athletes and go out there and are trying to teach them the value of how important it is to be a member of the community. So with role models like this, how do you implement that and ensure that your team understands those things?
They have to understand those things for the things that we have to instill in our kids, and just have to set an example. It's the best thing. Like this whole 5K run was really spearheaded by two teams. It wasn't even the Broncos. Like the Broncos came and jumped on. Hey, let me tell you, the two teams. They were two 15-year-olds. One was named, excuse me if I forget these ladies if you're watching this, but it's Narja West and Nashada Ellerby. All right. These two girls, they led a community members on a 5K run. They did a friendly walk through Montebello neighborhood out there in Colorado.
Shout out to Montebello.
Shout out to Montebello. Hey, Montebello, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat right now. I just want to let y'all know that these, brave girls were able to do this and pull this off. I mean, after the 5K run, they gave out 300 pairs of shoes and food for free. This thing right here was actually just impeccable. All right. I mean, I love the Broncos, and I'm gonna name the few that were there, but I have to give it to these girls right here. And it's for the whole March for Peace to end violence. That was the whole theme of the march. So these girls right here, they did an awesome job. And I think who do we have there? So the Broncos that were actually there, it was headlined really with the safety Justin Simmons, receivers Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Deontay Spencer, Tyree Cleveland, and Tim Patrick. And obviously you had George Patton there in attendance. Love those guys, man. Colorado faithful, Denver faithful. These guys came out, and let me not forget UT Tennessee alumni AJ Johnson was also in attendance. I had to have to get a shout out to my boy AJ. What's up, boy? So it was just awesome, and it was just really good to see that interaction and to see the Broncos come out and support those two girls on a great success on that 5K run.
Yeah, definitely. Cruz, with George Patton being out there, the new GM, what kind of environment does that create? What kind of spark does that create as far as like, him coming out and showing that the front office cares?
Well, obviously, it sets a positive one, especially because if you have a leader that's like that, that has your back, and like that is there for you and there for the community too. It just goes to show that they aren't just there like for themselves. They're not there just to screw up. Like they have confidence and they want to be able to build that like positive base within the team and spread that positivity on the field and off the field too.
Yeah, that's great. Vic, they went out there and they did quite a bit of different interactions within the community and around the Colorado area. So they were visiting the Boys and Girls Clubs. They were visiting local high schools, going out there and participating and creating some camps and things like that for them. They were also doing food banks. They were also doing COVID drives to try to get everybody in Colorado vaccinated. And they also were out there, going out throughout the community and helping homelessness and whatever else, wherever else that they could share the spread of love throughout the community for sure. And I think that is something that needs to continue. So them being named a finalist for the 2021 Sports Humanitarian Sports Team Award, I think that is going to be, for one, that's good publicity, and at the end of the day, this is a business. It is about publicity and the things that they're doing. But for real, they honestly truly care about the community, and it's not out there for the publicity and for the award and all that stuff. They're out there to represent the community, and so that's why the NFL started the Walter Payton Man of the Year award and all that. And so, Justin Simmons was one of the Walter Payton finalists last year. And unfortunately, he didn't win, but it would have been cool to see that Walter Payton patch on his jersey for every season for the rest of his career. Who do you think is going to be another vocal leader in the community now that we have other players like Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler and even George Patton?
Well, I mean, the fact that George Patton came over and like Cruz was saying, when you guys get a guy from the front office, right? Someone that's not necessarily seen all the time on the field, but doing all the paperwork, running business. But he's down here and he's tying into these or the community events and stuff like that. And also with his team, right? That builds camaraderie and shows the community as a whole that, it's not just the players out here doing, what some people would arguably say is kind of like community service, but this is actually something that, he feels strongly about. I think he ended up coming, was it Minnesota? And he's got his kids, tied in. If you watch some of the past things where, he's made the joke like, hey, buddy, we don't have Jefferson anymore, but, we can get you a Cortland Sutton jersey. I think Cortland coming back off of being injured, I think he'll be a vocal guy. I could also see Tyree Cleveland out there. I think he's another guy that's great on the field, but I think I could see him trying to contribute out to the community, kind of put his name out there, and just it doesn't matter whether you're a starter, a backup, a coach, a staff person. I mean, these guys are out there doing these things because it's just out of the goodness of their hearts, and to have that in the community is just a great thing. And it's only gonna improve the fan base, one, but two, just everybody who's in need. Whether you're having a tough time, especially with all this COVID stuff, it's great to know that people care.
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree. Okay, so they finally wrapped up minicamp. The mandatory minicamp is wrapped up. So we'll go ahead and get into the minicamp here in a little bit, but let's talk about them having some fun. They went out there and they got to do their field day. They ended their minicamp with a field day. Being able to go out there, cool off, take a break, all that good stuff. So some of the things that we got to see out there, and this is going to be just real quick. We got to go ahead and go see Vic Fangio out there shooting threes. Going out there and trying to show that he needs a roster spot on the Nuggets. I think maybe he's that veteran leadership. He seems like he's a vocal guy. Maybe a little bit past his prime, but we'll see on that.
Got that form looking through that
man,
window,
look at it. He got it. George Patton getting soaked in the dunk tank, and many more pictures out there. So you should go check out the Denver Broncos gallery on the field day. What are you thinking about this, Cruz? Do you think that we'll go around the mountain here real quick, and do you think that players should have more days off like this to build up the team camaraderie and really build team chemistry? Is this a good way to build team chemistry?
Well, I mean, you just said it. Yeah, of course it is. Like I said, it allows relationships to build, and it brings in the team together, especially with the coaches and George Patton out there. Like, it just really builds that, and it makes a stronger relationship between everybody, and makes sure that nobody's out there for themselves.
Yeah. Matt, what are you thinking? We're talking about George Patton a lot. I'm really liking what I'm seeing from him. This is not something typical that I've seen from GMs in the past, really getting out there with their players and doing things. He's acting more like a coach than he is a GM, I think. So, what are you thinking?
I mean, you've seen the older stuff. I mean, when you go back, you don't see the GMs doing that. You see the coaches doing that. And I think Bum Williams, I think back in the old days, when I think for the Oilers, he had field days with the players. I obviously believe, I think, Lord have mercy, forgive me, I think Buddy Ryan, he had field days for the guys when he was out there, when he was coaching with the Eagles as well. I mean, those things bring everything together. I mean, we at our high school, Cordova High School, we have a briefing. We have a team bonding every Saturday. Oh, not every Saturday, excuse me. It's every first Saturday of the month. So
that's cool.
With all that, and the kids can come out, it doesn't matter how old or young, most of the players, they get together, play basketball, do 7-on-7, whatever. Everybody just comes together better, and it's so good for the community, and it's just so good for the team to learn about each other. Obviously, learn about George Patton. I mean, to learn about just every individual. I mean, ice cream and all that. I'm surprised they didn't have like one of those pie facing contests. I mean, I would have went out there and done that and just said, hey, just pie me. And most people don't like getting pied, but to have that, knowing that you can be able to go out there and just be yourself around genuine people, it says a lot about the Broncos, and it says a lot about how the team is probably going to come together this year.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to the Broncos PR team out there. They've been doing some really funny, unique stuff that I haven't seen from some of the other teams before. They're doing a question of the day and getting reactions from the players. So I don't know if anybody follows them on Snapchat or Instagram or any of those things. But if you should, I mean, this is if you're watching our show, you should be watching the Broncos Facebook page, Snapchat, Instagram, all that stuff. But one of the questions of the day that they had last week was, which teammate would you not let date your sister? And I thought that led into, being able to find out a little bit more about some of the other players and who should be that seemed a little more I don't know, untrusting, I guess, again amongst their teammates, because they must have a little bit more of a player in them than just being a player on the football field. So that I thought that was funny. All right. One of the players that we were watching in mini camp and some of the pictures and some of the things that we were trying to follow was Josie Jewell.
Ugh.
There is quite a bit of opinions in the room here on Josie. We will go ahead
I'm
and
gonna stop you right there. I'm gonna stop you right there, Joe. Stop you right there. Because before I even go into just listing why we should either get rid of him or put him on special teams, right? Why is this guy wearing 47? Why did we allow him to wear 47 when we had a guy like Lynch out here doing business, making hits, making plays, and this man? Okay, you know what? Let me ask. Hey, Tokyo, let me ask you a question real quick. Okay.
Oh no!
I want you to answer. I want you to answer. Okay.
Yo.
What is the difference between Josie Jewell and $1? Can you answer that?
Oh my God, man! Josie, I'm sorry, man. Whatever's coming, man. I'm so sorry. What is it?
All right. The answer is you can get 4 quarters out of $1. You cannot get that out of Josie Jewell.
Oh, snap.
man,
Josie.
Listen, guys. Listen, guys. He's a former 4th round pick in 2018. All right, coming out of Iowa, right? And Iowa, they've had some great prospects. I mean, look at Noah Fant, right? He's on the opposite side of the ball, but I mean he's arguably done very well. You know what I mean? His first season came out here. I think I want to say if I'm correct, number 1 ranked rookie tight end, most reception yards that season.
He's going into his 3rd year now.
Yeah, and now he's in his 3rd year, right? And looking at Josie Jewell, all I'm seeing is mediocre, slow, and horrible coverage. So why keep him? His 40, whack. His coverage, whack. Does he bring anything to that number? No. What he brings is heartache and pain. I hate watching him play.
Do you think Browning is going to be an improvement on him?
Anybody would be an improvement over him, honestly. I mean, this guy, for one, he has issues staying healthy, and 2, on and off, has lost his job to Alexander freaking T-Rex Johnson. You know what I mean? He's out there raw, but he's making plays. Josie Jewell over there sitting the bench like, oh, coach, can I play? Come on, man.
Okay. All right, Matt. What do you think about the signing of Shaquem Griffin, or what tryout? Excuse me, not a signing, but Shaquem Griffin. Do you think? I think they're bringing in more for a special teams approach, but is this going to also force Josie Jewell out of his spot there for the Broncos?
First of all, God bless Josie Jewell. Josie, hit me up, man. Hit me up, Josie. I'm here with you, bro. Promise, man. I love you, dude. But look, Shaquem, if he comes in, he's supposed to compete. Guys supposed to come and take spots. There cannot be any hard feelings about it. Like you said before, guys, it's a business. And Shaquem is a different breed. Obviously, he has the birth defect, and that brings a lot more closer to what this organization is doing. Shaquem Griffin could be or could not be an unsung hero. But Shaquem, if we have a signing with him doing what he's doing, he'll obviously get his own packages. He'll obviously be on third downs. He'll come out in blitz packages, 4-6 bear. I mean, all different defenses, man. He's going to roll through it. And I obviously believe that he's going to be taken. They're going to just see him as the guy. I believe they will, because the way they used him up in Seattle is probably going to be used differently down here or in the Denver, Colorado country, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Cruz, what do you think? Why do we keep Jewell around?
Well, let me ask you your fix. I heard that Shaquem Griffin isn't actually gonna sign with the Broncos, so I think
he isn't. He's not gonna sign with the Broncos.
I saw that today that he's not.
Okay. No, that's news to me. I hadn't seen that report yet. So, well, thanks for the news. I appreciate that. So then why are we keeping Jewell?
Unfortunately, that means that we're stuck with Jewell. I hope Victor's not like that.
He said we
But-
stuck with Jewel.
But I don't know. They
Oh,
said that they
no.
may look into him in the future. You know, 'cause
Okay.
special teams.
All right.
maybe.
Yeah, I guess we'll see after the next I guess when we're going into the starting of training camp. The Broncos have I think they have a few weeks off. Let me double check my stats, or let me double check my messages real quick. So the Broncos return to the practice field on Thursday for the last session of mandatory minicamp. The players get a 6-week break before descending back on Dove Valley. So they're getting a whole 6-week break before we get to see any more Broncos coverage. If we get to see, anybody out on the practice field, at least for the Broncos. But one of the good things that the reports that are coming out is that Drew Lock and Bridgewater plan to continue preparing for the season and for training camp. So what does that mean? Drew Lock and Bridgewater both going to be competing. And so who are they bringing out are they going to be bringing out the receivers individually? Are they going to be working together? What is it? I know they're competing against one another, so that's one factor. But are they going to be working together? Are they going out to the same high school fields there in Denver to go and try to compete for this job, or what are they doing? Victor, what are you thinking?
All right. Well, I mean, on the 15th, they had a little press conference after their mini camp, and that was one of the questions that they had brought up. They had asked both Teddy B and Drew Lock the same question. What is your plan? When you guys have these 5-6 weeks off, as far as working with those receivers, getting in sync with them. How do you plan on creating that relationship or making sure that it gets strengthened, right?
Yep.
Drew Lock said that he is going to stay local. Don't know if that means he's going to be still over at the stadium, or if he's going to find somewhere nearby and just work with some receivers there. Teddy's answer when they had asked him was that he was going to be in South Florida, but that he was going to fly out some of these receivers out there because, and I quote, who doesn't love South Florida, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, they're both going to be working with their receivers. It's going to be a continuation of their battle. Whether or not necessarily South Florida or Colorado is going to benefit either one of them. I mean, I'm not sure. Different climates, different stuff like that. I don't know if that gives either one an edge. I just think that that obviously they both know that it's still a long way to go, especially since they're not really giving us too much information. Still, they kind of want people kind of fishing and kind of peeking in and seeing, like what's really the story, what's going on here.
Yeah, and they're trying to prevent us drawing conclusions. I get that.
Yeah, I mean, and there's still a lot of stuff going around the NFL too. A lot of stuff still in play. Don't even want to bring that stuff up because right now I'm looking at these two and I'm like, this season, this is what it has to be. As far as our roster goes, I hope even if a guy like Rodgers comes available, based off cost and everything, I'd rather stick with these two guys and have them just battle it out and hey, this is your last shot. Make it or break it for either one of them, really, because Teddy B's coming off of losing his job 2 times, and Locke is really just on that borderline of potentially not being on the roster next season. So it's just really going to really come down to when they get back and the improvement that's shown over time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tokyo.
Yeah.
All right. As a receiver, what do you do now? Drew Lock staying in Colorado, staying local, doing his thing, trying to make sure that he gets his reps with his receivers, and Teddy out in South Florida getting reps with his receivers. Now, what if both of these individuals are having a throwing session same day? You as a receiver, where are you going? Who are you leaning towards? Who are you trying to go out there and make plays with? Now, if you're being invited the same day, same time, I can't be in 2 places at once. I can't be in South Florida. I can't be in Colorado on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
Do you push for your quarterbacks to try to change their time frame up, or are you legitimately making a choice to go out there and choose which quarterback you're going out to go throw or to go catch with?
I'm not choosing anybody. I'm going to stand forward. I'm going to get in the middle. I'm like, look, both of y'all need to come to y'all senses right now. We are a team. I don't care if it's a business, and I understand it's a business, but y'all
But
gonna
they're
have to learn
battling.
how
They're
to play.
battling.
It's fine. That's totally fine. Me as a receiver, and if I'm younger, if I'm older, I really don't care. If they're messing up, I'm gonna let them know if they're messing up. Yeah, but they need to be together in the same place. Either if it's in Florida or if it's in Colorado. It needs to be in Colorado so they can get used to that altitude, especially Teddy, because he has not been in that altitude. So I think they need to go to Colorado and they go there with the receivers. From a receiver standpoint, yeah, Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater need to stay in one place together. Honestly, they probably need to be hip to hip. If they want to be able to push Colorado and push Denver up to the map, they're going to have each other's back. And honestly, I like Drew Lock, but they're going to have to love each other for this whole thing to work, because we can't have this battle with no bloody noses going. I'm sorry. We can't have that happen. Oh, and I would like to give a shout out to my homie Jonathan Johnson. He actually played with Drew Lock out there in Missouri, and who knows, he just may get another receiver in JJ.
Oh, awesome. That's great. So those are the questions that have been pressing this week of, like, as a receiver, what kind of, what does that do to the team chemistry, and what kind of what are some of those things that some of those comments, Vic mentioned Aaron Rodgers, and we've mentioned Deshaun Watson and stuff on here before. How does that affect confidence against one another? Von Miller had something to say about that this week, or I'm sorry, well, it was this week or early or late last week. I think it was post our show, that he's saying, "Oh, we're going to get Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson." But hold on, wait a minute. We got Drew Lock. That's who we're running with. That's who we're going to go with into the season with until anything changes. All right. So, I mean, that kind of makes that statement right there. You gotta support your teammate. You can't go out there and just say, oh yeah, I want Aaron Rodgers. Oh yeah, I want Deshaun Watson. Like Kareem Jackson was doing. That kind of, you're supposed to be my teammate. You're supposed to be the one backing me up.
Exactly.
I understand we have a competition going on, but at the same time, why are you trying to throw somebody else into the mix? You have to stick with the guys that you have. So, Cruz, if you were Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater, Teddy B, are you just ignoring those comments, or is that affecting you? Yeah, he's a defensive player. It's not one of your receivers, but is that affecting you? Is that affecting your mindset?
I think it's a little bit of both, because it's hard to try to ignore what's all around you too. And the fact that wide receivers have to choose between Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock, like going from Florida to Colorado, kind of builds separation, kind of defeats the whole purpose of the field day that they had.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
I think that they should be able to work with the receivers in Denver, because I mean, you're gonna be in Denver for half the season, and
yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I'm with Vaughn. Like, you need to have confidence in what you have and what you think that you're gonna go with. Don't worry about what's going on in the front office. Like, until it happens, who you have in front of you is who you're gonna work with, and that's who you should support. And like I said, I wish that Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater, or Teddy Bridgewater, stayed locally at least, so that wide receivers can switch between quarterbacks. Not have to worry about going out to Florida or being in Denver.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And, exactly, you have to just stick with what you got. So, Cruz, I think you have the same sentiment there as Vaughn, and maybe these players will start to work it out and kind of figure it out. Peyton Manning, he took his players off site. He wanted to get them out of Colorado, or out of the local area, and that was one of his things. He would always go out to Duke University and go throw out there with his receivers. So it's one of those things. It's quarterback preference, player preference, to maybe get out of the area and just kind of go get a different take, a little bit different scenery, or whatever the case is. But I kind of agree. You're going to be playing in the altitude. You're going to be playing in Denver. You should be getting used to those conditions, and sticking around Broncos country. Not not going out to South Florida, and maybe that's where he's from, or that's is where he's from, and being able to go play in some different conditions. I get it, but you're not playing a whole season in Miami. You're playing majority of your games in Denver. So stick in Broncos country and move forward with that. But Von Miller did also do some cool stuff this past week. He had his annual Von Miller's Pass Rush. So I think that is a pretty cool, pretty memorable thing there. That, you know, something that he has been partaking in with the rest of the NFL players and going out there and trying to make pass rushers better. So some of the notable Broncos or people that have ties to Broncos country there are Malik Reed and DeMarcus Ware, and then obviously Von Miller. So, you know, with those types of things that go on, you know, the pass rush summit, you know, what are you thinking, Matt? Why don't we do like a wide receiver summit and have the quarterbacks and all of our receivers obviously outside and on their own terms go out there and do something like that? What do you know, why don't they do more stuff like that?
I don't know. I mean, we had a similar situation with our guys at our high school, you know, and I think having more receivers together, you know, being able to do stuff like that and be able to, just like you said, just be together, you know, with one, actually pick each other's brain for a little bit. You know, that's the bond you really need for a brotherhood to work and just have long-lasting relationships. And with that being said, you know, this game is not always going to be here. It's going to fade. So after football, you're going to have those brothers that, you know, you're going to lean and depend on. Those are the things that I look forward to when I see this, you know, being able to call them and say, hey, man, you remember that time when I dunked on dude, when I mossed him? You remember that time? You could just sit back and do that. So what Von Miller is doing with DeMarcus Ware, and obviously DeMarcus Ware is one of the best mentors to Von Miller, obviously with Malik Reed. He's doing an awesome job, and he's obviously going to pass it on to the next great pass rusher that comes through Denver.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to continue to see those things. So I'm assuming that Von will go ahead and continue that even after his pro football days are over. And I think that's a huge thing. They're getting all the best pass rushers in the league together to, you know, pick each other's brains and try to make each other better and make the game more competitive. I think that's a really cool thing.
Yes.
All right, so we're getting close to the end of our show here. We're a little bit over our normal time frame, but we're going to go ahead and real quick talk about Juneteenth and how the Broncos made it a team holiday for all employees, a paid day off. And they did this last year, even before this was announced as a federal holiday. So, Matt, I think you said you had a couple of things on it that you wanted to talk about. So I'm gonna pass it back over to you real quick, and you know, let us know what the Denver athletes are doing.
Well, around the league, and it's not just Denver. I mean, obviously, you got the guys I mentioned earlier with Justin Simmons and Tyree Cleveland and KJ Hamler. Those guys are doing it, but I'm talking about around the league, not just in Denver. I mean, you got former Texans safety Michael Johnson, Dante Robinson, former cornerback. I mean, Aaron Maben, and you have your own Malik Jackson that used to play for Denver. He's actually donating 250 Juneteenth children's books to a local school out there in Cleveland, where he is at right now with the Cleveland Browns. So they're just doing awesome things around the board. I mean, literally from stateside, from East Coast to West Coast. You know, they're actually out there and actively helping with these events that are taking on early in the morning. So with that being said, Michael Johnson was teaching fans about Juneteenth on a video he had, and it was teaching them about what was happening. He's actually from Texas. You know, he grew up in Lord have mercy, grew up in Houston, and he was doing a video about a Union Army general who proclaimed freedom from slavery in Texas. So in 1865, and what it basically telling us about the history that, you know, we haven't learned. Obviously, we have Black American history, but we have regular American history that we did not know about or learn in school. those things right there. And about Juneteenth, like I said earlier before in this segment, I had to learn more about Juneteenth. All right. It's one thing for us to we cannot ignore it. Like they said, federal holiday, whoop, 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 whoop. And it has to be heard all over the nation. It has to be, because us of color, obviously we're minorities, but what happened, is nothing that cannot be ignored. So we all can understand what we have been through. Not just Black Lives Matter. Juneteenth, man, history that people don't even know about come out and they get shocked. Jaws drop, and a lot of things start to, let's just say, the peace would start coming out just a little bit. And I think this Juneteenth would help very, very, very greatly.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. You got to learn about your history. You got to learn about your past so that, for one, you don't repeat it. And for two, that you can learn from it. So, yes, it's a great thing. It became a federal holiday, but we got to remember it's not just a day off. It's something to celebrate. And it's a moment of remembrance. Like I said, it's about our blemish in our history of things that, Americans may not be proud of. That shouldn't be proud of the things that we did, some of the atrocities that we committed. So, the league and other teams and the Broncos celebrating Juneteenth and making it a day off last year, even before it became a federal holiday. I think that's awesome. And we'll go ahead and we'll see those things continue on in the future. And that the Black community being recognized and being able to see all that moving forward, I think is awesome. So, check out we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show here. I wanted to make sure that you guys check out the other great Rocky Mountain Sports Report shows. There are a ton of them. So we have, a new one that just started, Lunchtime Lunacy, with David Slade and Alexander Slade. And they do that every day at 12 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. And so that show has started to take off. And they talk about daily sports, not just things that are happening around Colorado, but all the things that are happening around all the different leagues. So it's it was a good show. I've been catching them when I can. I am still working at that time frame. So when I get the opportunity to, they have some really good content on there. And, I really like to hear what David has to say a lot of the time. So make sure that you check that show out. 4th and 99 is getting ready to come back and start off even stronger. You got the Purple Craze and Haze, and then In the Crease just finished up. But they're going to be doing some more stuff near the end of the towards the expansion draft and then the regular NHL draft as that comes up. The NHL added their 32nd team, the Seattle Kraken. So that's why they're having an expansion draft this year. Maybe we'll be having some expansion drafts in the NBA over the next couple seasons. Well, who knows? I know that they're looking at adding some more teams, possibly back to Seattle, and I can't remember the other one off the top of my head, but Seattle is looking to get another NBA team. So that about does it for our show. Also, quick plug for the July 24th. The Rocky Mountain Sports Report and some of the hosts from the different shows will be out at Stoked D Barbecue there in Loveland, doing a remote show. And so you can come out and meet some of the hosts and get your barbecue supplies. They're also going to have some barbecue samples. They're not going to be feeding anybody like full meals or anything like that, but they're going to have some barbecue samples out there, some stuff for you to try, rubs, sauces. And then you can also go in and pick up your different things that you need for all your grilling needs, barbecue, grilling and barbecue needs, like your charcoals, your spatulas, your grate cleaners, grates, all that good stuff. So make sure you get out to Stoked D Barbecue on July 24th. There's some more stuff that'll be coming out about that. So just make sure that you follow the Rocky Mountain Sports Report so you can make sure you check all that stuff out. So our next show will be next Friday, June 25th at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So remember, next Friday, June 25th, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. For people that, say daylight savings time and not daylight savings time. So a lot of people have been asking, why are you starting at 7? Why does it say on our? I've gotten a couple DMs about us starting at 7 p.m. That's 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, but because I'm doing the show remotely from Arizona, actually, I'm not actually in Colorado. It is 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for me, but that's because Arizona doesn't observe daylight savings time. So that's why when sometimes you'll see the banners, it'll say 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. It's actually 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That's why I always put out there 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 7 p.m. Pacific Time. And we're actually all over the country. None of us are actually in Colorado right now. I'm in Arizona. Cruz is out in California. Victor is in Virginia, and Matt is in Memphis. So, we're all over the place, and we all have the same passion for the 5280 sports. So, continue to check us out. Continue to share with your family and friends. We are the perfect example of why you don't need to watch, or you don't need to be in Colorado to watch Colorado sports. So, we get our Colorado sports any way we can. We follow it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, whatever we can get our hands on for Colorado sports. We're going to be making sure to continue to be bringing it to you. So with that, Cruz, please close us out.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us once again. Another great show. I joined a little late, but I was watching until I was able to join. But thank you for joining. We are now exiting the 5280 zone.
Thank you all again. Appreciate you all coming out. You are exiting the 5280 zone.